Welcome to Creative Imperfections, the podcast where perfection is overrated and messy magic gets the spotlight. I'm so glad you're here. As many of you probably already know, I am currently working on writing a book, and I've been spending a lot of time lately inside this body of work that I'm writing. And what keeps surprising me isn't how much I know about the topic, but how much I've had to relearn about myself. Writing has a way of doing that. It slows you down long enough to notice the patterns you've lived, the lessons you didn't recognize at the time, the moments where clarity didn't arrive first because action did. And as I've been shaping these ideas on the page, one theme keeps rising to the surface. Quietly, but persistently. Vision doesn't show up fully formed. It reveals itself as we move. Vision is one of those words that sounds very clear in theory, but much harder to hold in real life. We talk about it as if it's something that arrives complete, like one day you wake up and suddenly know exactly who you're becoming and where you're headed, but most real vision doesn't arrive that way. It shows up incomplete, a little blurry around the edges, often changing shape the moment you think you've pinned it down. That can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're someone who prefers clarity before movement. We're taught to believe that once we're clear, then we can move. That once the vision makes sense, the steps will follow. But in practice, it rarely unfolds that way. Vision sharpens through movement, through action. It becomes clearer because you're living forward, not because you waited long enough to think it through. The version of the future you can imagine today is shaped by the version of you that exists right now. Not because you lack ambition or imagination, but because perspective expands as you do. Each step you take changes what you see. Each experience refines what feels possible, what feels aligned, and what no longer fits the way it once did. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They wait to feel confident before acting. They wait to feel certain before committing. They wait to fully see themselves as the person they want to become before behaving like that person. And that waiting feels responsible, even wise. But really, it's keeping your vision just out of reach. Vision doesn't ask you to step into it all at once. It asks you to practice it, to move in its direction before it feels settled, to take actions that belong to a future you haven't fully grown into yet. Identity follows behavior more often than behavior follows identity. Clarity comes from doing, from testing, from noticing what energizes you and what drains you, from discovering in real time which parts of the vision are alive and which parts were borrowed or imagined or simply no longer true. Vision matures through experience. And as it matures, it shifts. That shift isn't a sign that you were wrong before. It's a sign that you're paying attention. A living vision adapts as you do. It becomes more honest, more grounded, more aligned with who you're actually becoming rather than who you thought you should be. Claiming your vision isn't about declaring it louder or committing to it harder. It happens through repeated choices that line up with the direction you want to move. It shows up in small moments when you ask yourself how someone living that future might act today. And then you do the smallest version of that, even if it feels awkward or premature. Belief doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's built through evidence, and evidence comes from action. Each time you show yourself that you can move in alignment with the future you want, even if it's imperfect, it's usually imperfect, something settles. Confidence grows not because you imagined it, but because you practiced it. There's a kind of humility in this process, a willingness to admit that you don't see the full picture yet, but that you don't need to. Vision isn't something you control from a distance. It's something you stay in conversation with, something that reveals itself as you move. If your vision feels unclear right now, that doesn't mean it's missing. It often means you're standing at the edge of the next version of it. The clarity you're looking for is usually on the other side of action, not thought. Movement will bring information. Experience brings refinement. You don't wait until you feel like the future version of yourself to begin acting like them. Acting like them now is how you meet them. Vision is not discovered by standing still, it's revealed by motion. And the more willing you are to take aligned steps before certainty shows up, the more the vision evolves with you, meeting you where you are and growing as you grow. And that's not rushing it. That's how visions become real. And that is where the magic lives. And always remember, there's magic in your imperfections. Go out there and find it. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Creative Imperfections. If you have a friend who could use this advice right now, please feel free to share this with them and make sure you subscribe.